Welcome back to Whatever We Want, a podcast about celebrating storytelling. Daniel, who would have guessed the strike is still going on?
Dude, they need to solve that stuff. Like what the heck, man? Like,
yeah,
why
I don't know
is this
the
taking forever?
exact logistics of everything. It's really interesting to me. I was talking to my roommate about it last night, but apparently, like, the bigger studios are like, their demands are too unreasonable. Like, there's no way we can afford this. But yet the smaller studios, like independent studios, like A24, studios that don't make as much money as like your Disneys and Netflixes and stuff, have agreed to the writers and actors terms. So like, they can keep making movies because they've agreed to these demands. So those are not struck companies. So it's kind of like if these smaller studios that are making significantly less money than Disney and like all the other big honchos, why can't the big honchos like afford to pay the writers? And a lot of people think it's greed. I mean, I know there's two sides to every story, but it seems like greed. Like I don't know. I think just pay people what they're worth, especially to keep up at least with inflation and to protect them. Their humane rights against like AI and stuff, and it's a whole complicated series of issues.
But that's interesting. I didn't know that there are other studios that were already accepting the terms of the strike that were greenlit.
Yeah, like A24 is completely good. I think there's another one, I don't know off the top of my head, but another smaller studio has also agreed and is like able to start productions up again.
That's really crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That being said, that's the reason we're, again, I was gonna kind of segueing into like, we're not talking about movies and TV again this week, because we want to stand in solidarity with the writers and actors. So we're kind of continuing our quest of discovering like other forms of storytelling. Like we've talked about video games a lot. We talk about food a lot just because that's fun. It's not really like storytelling. Although you can tell a story through food, like culturally and stuff.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah. There's a lot of ways that food impacts how. I mean, again, like you said before, it brings people together. So there's a lot of community with that.
Exactly. And like exchanging of stories is kind of a good method to like sit down and talk to someone and catch up with stories. But that being said, I do want to keep talking about video games eventually, but I kind of want to explore other avenues of storytelling. And today we're talking about YouTube as a means of storytelling. And I've kind of had this idea in the back of my head for a while to discuss like the similarities and differences between YouTube and like Hollywood. And I feel like this is a good reason to kind of bring it up because they're really different, but there's also a lot of parallels, but you tell stories differently on there, and I want to get to that, but I also wanted to like mention to you, speaking of the other like avenues of storytelling, I kind of want to talk about like musical theater and like the stage play as like a method of storytelling one time. Maybe we can talk about some popular musicals and stuff. Would you be down for that?
I'd be down for that. I haven't seen that many musicals, but
okay. That's what I was thinking. I was figuring we could bring on like a guest for that one, like either my sister or like my roommates are also big into theater and stuff like that. So yeah, just subscribe for that in the future if you want it. Yeah. So today we're talking about YouTube though, and storytelling on YouTube. I was actually, when we were thinking about this idea for the topic, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts because it's about something we talked about last week. I kept pulling parallels to what we talked about last week with VR, because I think when the space started out for VR, and I think it's the same with YouTube, it was really all about the new excitement of this new frontier kind of thing. That was like the main draw. And YouTube's been around in the mainstream since YouTube came out in like 2005. So now it's had a couple seasons to like evolve. And I think
it's in just like Fortnite chapter 13. Yeah.
I think what worked on YouTube back in the day does like just putting out anything online. There's so much competition now that I think we're seeing YouTubers that connect with their audiences through different storytelling means are kind of excelling to the top. Do you agree with that observation or no?
No, I kind of do because at the same time, like you're saying, like there's a lot more stuff out there. It's tough to pick and choose, you know? Mm-hmm. And now I feel like if you use YouTube, you're like, you still get like random stuff here and there, but like I feel like you will stick to like your main people that you follow. At least that's how I personally do it, you know? And it's tough because like, you know what, as an audience member, you know what kind of personalities and what kind of stories you connect with, right? So it is much tougher now, I feel like, to break out with something that's new, with something that's different, unless it's something that's like really unique. And I think that's kind of the two sides of the camp that people often
compare, which might not necessarily be two opposing sides of like the spectrum, but I think there's a term that's been coined around called like the beastification of YouTube, which is like basically it's the concept that matters. Like it's not the people taking it and like how high stakes you can make a concept. Like Mr. Beast's videos where he's like, I spent 50 hours buried alive or something like that. Like it's interesting because that is a story. Like in the title, it's the story of him seeing if he can survive being buried alive for 50 hours, but it's presented in a way extremely different than like mainstream Hollywood because, and I think this is the big point I'm trying to make, is I think it's accessible. The barrier for accessibility is so low that audiences are way more willing to check out. So I think YouTube, because there's so much competition and because it's not as difficult to get invested in something, like it's just a click on a phone, people are way more willing to click off. So you have to have these high stakes retention moments that keep the story going, which often make the structure of the story very quick paced and different than like a Hollywood movie. Like if you're in a theater, it's you've already committed to driving to the theater, sitting down. Like you're much less likely to walk out of a movie theater during a movie than you are to click off a YouTube video halfway through, you know?
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. Yeah. It's weird with the formatting too, if you think about it, because like,
what do you mean?
Like YouTube videos, I mean, standardly now they're anywhere between like 10 to 20 minutes on like the average, I'd say, right? Mm-hmm. So it's funny because it's like with movies, because it's 2 hours. Like in the case that you're talking of like retention ability.
Yeah.
It's because it's free and there's so much access and there's also so much quantity out there with YouTube. It's almost like you want to see more stuff or you want to see what else is out there. So I'm not saying there's a drive to like click off, but it's easier to, and like what you're saying. It's
basically, if you're in a movie, if there's like a slow scene, you're already so invested in like your own personal time just to get there that
and financially, because when you have to, like, get the ticket and the food or whatever,
right? That you are more likely to keep watching. Whereas if there's like a slow moment that you don't feel like a dopamine rush, like a reward in a video, you're more likely to click off. But I think that was honestly like the last chapter of YouTube, and I still think it's very prevalent now. But I think we're seeing a lot. If you scroll YouTube at all, like there's a lot of kind of copycats of Mr. Beast that do these high stakes.
Oh yeah,
like you just literally swap out the person in the thumbnail, and it's like the exact same kind of concept. Like often copying Mr. Beast, but also just doing these very big, grand, idea-based things that you don't really connect with the person or like the story, the characters in the story. And I think we might start seeing a shift. I've seen a lot of people predict there's going to be a shift, like a pendulum swinging, like from the idea-based, it's going to start going back to the personality-based, kind of like we saw in the early days. But I think that's going to happen through good storytelling. And we've already seen it. I have a couple of creators we can bring up, but that's just my prediction and hope, because I think the crazy everyone being a Mr. Beast where it's just like high concept ideas can get really old quickly.
Oh, agreed. I mean, if I'm being honest, and I'm sorry, Mr. Beast, but like I don't really watch your stuff.
I do watch it.
I like it'll come up every now and then. I'll see like one. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Or like when he does like collabs, like that one time he did some with like the Hacksmith, But that's like, because like I already am like I'm connected to the personality of the Hacksmith. Yeah. So
I do give him props for how much effort he puts into
definitely
a YouTube video. Like he spends millions of dollars on YouTube videos, and he does have like very high quality content, in my opinion, that is very easy to just click on, and then like the whole video goes past and you don't click off, but you're just like, what just happened? Like it's just a lot of like back to back kind of action, I guess, or payoffs. And there's other creators that I want to mention that I think do storytelling interestingly well. Like, are you familiar? I think I told you about him, but like Ryan Trahan, do you know him?
Yeah.
So he's this YouTube creator that still has these titles and thumbnails that seem like they're going to be this high stakes action throughout, and he does kind of have interesting stakes throughout that are presented, and it follows the same format of like setup or like question and then payoff, and that's like releases endorphins and dopamine inside you that is rewarding, but it's kind of like a slower pace, and he's, I think, more focused on storytelling. And something I've heard in his interviews say he really likes to, I guess, give back, and like think of content that, I forget the exact term he used, but it's like rewarding to humanity basically. And it's really interesting. Like, it's different than Mr. Beast, but there's definitely an audience for it because he has like a huge subscriber base and gets millions of views on every one of his videos. And it's also almost like lower stakes. Like one of his last videos was, I tested 1-star Yelp reviews. Posted that 9 days ago at the time of recording. It's basically him just going around to different restaurants that have like really low ratings, and his goal is to, it's really, really wholesome stuff. Like, his goal is to go and give it 5 stars to kind of bring awareness to the what's it called, to the restaurant, the business. And also the point is that he's not allowed to lie. Like, he has to go and find, like, look at it from like a positive angle, like, no matter what. Like, he was wearing a hat and the one waitress like commented like, "Oh, I like your hat," like, genuinely. And so he was like, "That's a star." So like, he like bumped up the star rating, and like, he was trying to like find genuine ways to give this place 5 stars. And that's just an interesting storyline that is like super low stakes, but the way he edits it and presents it, it's engaging for, I mean, at least 4.6 million people at the time of recording, which is just really interesting to me, that it's like these not high stake environments like Mr. Beast, but still reaches an audience. A different form of storytelling. Yeah. I think that's also what I really like about YouTube, is that because it's such a large platform, you can have different
like methods,
types of storytellers. Yeah, exactly, that work. Like, Ryan Trahan and Mr. Beast are very different creators, but they both have audiences that
they both
support
are swimming
them.
in the shmoney.
Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, so I think that's really interesting. I really like Ryan Trahan. He might be one of my favorite creators on the platform right now. He just seems like a genuine guy and just seems to have fun and, like, I don't know, live life in a good way. Do you have any YouTubers you want to talk about? I have a few more, but
I mean, I don't have any like niche ones. I usually don't really use YouTube for that. I usually,
what do you use it for?
I'm
like tutorials?
I'm either using, I'm literally either using it for like tutorials for whenever I'm trying to like fix something, or I'll also have somebody doing like a playthrough, like Jacksepticeye, or like, I don't know, like Vanos Crew, or like Markiplier, like you know, like the big name guys, or just like they're funny, and I can have it on the background like while I'm gaming or while I'm just eating or something like that. So
yeah. Interesting. I like that you mentioned like gaming, and I think in the early days YouTube really thrived on gaming, and that's interesting that was like an initial breakout, because gaming has this innate storytelling feature in it, and it's that you're highlighting the video game itself. You're following along in that story of the video game, and you also have this maybe like protagonist character, like narrator, guiding you through. That's like the YouTuber maybe. That's interesting. I never really thought of it that way, but that might be why gaming kind of popped off on YouTube early on. It's like an appeal to people.
Well, I think it's that, but there's a duality to it too. Like you have like your, well, it could be like your single person, or you can have like your like crew of people, right? That are like just talking, and
like Vanos.
They can be like either they're either super invested in the game, which is like promoting that story in a sense, or they're just talking about their own random stuff, which in itself is like the story just about these guys while they're just doing this thing. Like,
right.
I love like Oni Plays with like, dude, I love Zach from that group so much, because his voice is hilarious, and two, they have such crazy personalities, and like really like, I mean, it's dark a lot of times, but also just like crazy humor.
Okay.
So it's just stuff, again, like I know for me as somebody that uses YouTube, I'm like I say like a grandpa, but like I know I'm still like very personality driven. I care a lot more about the personality than the
and I'm not
concept.
discounting that. I think where people often succeed is the marrying of the personality with storytelling kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know. Another example I have that's very different, that is really pure storytelling and not personality at all, which I don't often go back to all the time because it doesn't have that marrying of personality and storytelling, is this guy named Dodford. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's like a pretty new creator, and he makes these incredible documentaries on YouTube that like highlight kind of entertainment like professionals, like the stories of like Robert Downey Jr. or like Adam Sandler was one that like popped off. They're just really well researched and put together documentaries that he like takes found footage from like old like interviews and stuff and like pieces together this like beautiful story that really paints a picture of the life of like an actor or like a director or something like that. And it's something I haven't really seen to this level on YouTube before, and it's just really interesting. So everyone check out Dodford. It's DODFORD, for a different type of storytelling if you want to figure that out.
Yeah.
And that's actually one thing that is interesting, because one thing that I've noticed on our podcast journey is that we did really well on TikTok. And if anyone's noticed, I've kind of pulled back on TikTok a little bit because I'm trying to just reassess and figure out what I want to do. But we did really well on TikTok because we were highlighting the achievements of other people. Like we would do like trivia tidbits, movie trivia tidbits from other movies. And that is exciting. And when I saw that like do well on TikTok, I like leaned hard into that and did that a lot.
Yeah.
But I kind of realized that I burned out quickly, and I realized that like I don't really want to just highlight the achievements of other individuals. Like that's great and all, and I think we can learn from that, but I also want to work on, if I'm spending all my time working on editing these videos, highlighting the achievements of others, I'm not going to be working on anything myself, and I want to spend time working on my own path and achieving things in my own sense, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I know that because it's something that I'm actively doing myself. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's interesting. I think it's beautiful what Dodford is doing, but I don't think myself personally I would want to make documentaries like that, at least on that subject. Like I don't know. I really do like his filmmaking style. It's like bringing this whole sense of filmmaking to YouTube that we haven't really seen before, and his editing is crazy good.
Yeah.
But yeah. Another example of kind of storytelling, kind of going back to that. This actually a creator I think that fits well with what you like the whole personality and but also there's a story in video games going along. And I think Dream is a newer creator that kind of popped off that took the personality and the stakes to a whole nother level. Because like his big series is Minecraft Manhunt. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like the one where he's speedrunning Minecraft, which is stakes enough on its own because you're trying to beat a game in like a certain amount of time. And then he adds the stakes of his friends trying to hunt him down while he's doing this already challenging task. And you basically, it's great for retention because you want to see if he makes it to the end. But also it allows their personalities to shine really well because it's just friends like goofing off, like fighting each other in Minecraft. And I think that's a really niche and interesting video idea that wasn't done before that, really.
Isn't there more drama going on with him now though? Like not like drama.
Is there actually?
Where you like put the mask back on and then like
I think that was a while ago. He
he did the face reveal and then like
he did the face reveal,
flamed, which is sad. Like come on, people.
Yeah. But then no. So he made a video a couple months after the mask reveal, I think, like about putting the mask back on. But it was kind of like, I think it was a bit for like a music video or something he was doing, like kind of trying to promote his music or something, because he's been seen in interviews without the mask like since then, and like I think it's just a joke that everyone took like really seriously, and everyone was like, you guys crapped on Dream and now he's like becoming a hermit or something, and everyone and Dream was like, no, this was like very obviously a joke. Like in the video his friends are like like calling him ugly like as a joke, yeah, I think it was a big publicity thing, which honestly it worked because people are talking about it. But I don't think it's like he's not putting the mask on like forever. Like he wears it sometimes, I think, out in public, but it's like part of his brand basically. I think he wanted to reintroduce it as part of his brand sometimes.
Yeah. Jake, let me ask you this though: if you were like a personality that like didn't show your face, what would your thing be? Right? Like again, you got Dream with his mask. I'm thinking like Swagger Souls, right? Like he's got the helmet and all that, and his
Oh.
rich voice. You know,
And like Corpse Husband has his voice.
yeah,
and,
like what would
like
your theme be?
Doctor whatever, is it Doctor Disrespect has his sunglasses or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to be a faceless creator because I just like connecting with people, and I think the face is a really good way to
I
do
get
that.
But if you were,
I know. I'm trying to think. I don't know, because you don't want anything that's gonna like obstruct your vision if you're gaming or doing something.
I don't think Dream wore the mask while he was playing the Manhunt stuff.
Maybe I do like an AI.
Or you could do like an AI thing, or you could have like a 3D model kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
You could have like a VTuber.
Yeah, no, I realized I was too close to VTuber, and I don't really want to be a VTuber. Maybe I'd have like, in Star Trek, the guy that has like the visor.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd do that. That might be cool. And I could like put like text across it, like send messages or something. Like maybe donations
Actually, dude, that'd be
could stream
dope.
across
That'd be like
it.
Daft Punky. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like top donos would get like broadcasted on.
Dude, we need to do this now. What the heck?
No one take this idea.
I think you already know mine. So,
The potato.
Yeah, dude, I love that potato.
Yeah.
I'm debating
Yeah,
on
can you
updating
explain
the
for
image I have
everyone?
in Discord to add like my mustache and all that.
Can you explain what we're talking about? To
Okay, so
people
my
at home?
username for the longest time for all of our viewers
Whoa.
has been Spanish Potato. That originated because my cousin, his username back in the day when we like just got Call of Duty and all that was German Midget. And I was like, I gotta stay on theme with that. So I'm like, well, I'm Puerto Rican, so I could be like, oh, so I gotta do Spanish, right? And I was like, okay, well, I need something that kind of like goes along with midget, but like not really, but like something that's like memey or like funny, I'm like, well, potato, everybody likes potatoes, even though ironically I don't, because like I can't eat mashed potatoes.
Dude, but baked potatoes, man. Oh my gosh.
Dude, it's psychological.
Dude,
Man. I just can't.
I had this amazing baked potato the other day. I had a brisket on
Congratulations.
top.
I do not care.
Okay.
It's something I would not know. I'd maybe try one
You like
more
French
time.
fries?
Fries are different. To me, it's more about the crisp. Anywho, we can
Girth to
get into
crisp.
the girth of the crisp. We need to make that
All
a
right,
shirt.
I know.
But yeah, so then the Spanish potato was born, and then like in the last couple of years, how long have I had like the little guy now? I like did the art for the little
been a
dude
while.
like a couple years ago. Yeah. So I've had that, and now I've like 3D modeled a character as well, so it's kind of funny. So
It's just like a potato. Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
So Daniel's VTuber personality would be this potato
Like
like
cartoony potato
character,
face.
3D model, digital 3D model.
Yeah.
Um,
People can think of it. I'm not sure if people have seen like the like the potato filter where it, like just is
Yeah.
a potato and you have like the eyes.
like
It's like
Professor
that,
got
but better.
stuck as that in a viral
Yeah.
video. Yeah. You could tell stories about the potato farm and the struggles of being a spud or something. I don't know.
From spud to stud.
Oh, hey. Still working on that stud part. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, Jesus. But no, there's another type of storytelling we also still haven't talked about yet though. Well, on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's more of like the how do you say it? Chris Cassatt videos, like the science base or like the the ones
like
that
a
I
Mark
showed you,
Rober?
like the
Oh,
trying to
no,
remember
you're
who that
talking
is.
about... Oh, the...
like the
Oh my
ones that
gosh.
dedicate to both telling a story but also being like
Teaching?
educational. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
love
don't know
those
how to
ones.
pronounce it. It's called Kursagat in a
Hold on, I
nutshell.
looked at the pronunciations so I don't butcher it, and I still butchered it.
Yeah, you did. It's
Kursagat.
basically... They're, according to their own
Just
description,
German.
they're animation videos explaining things with optimistic nihilism since 12,013.
Yep.
Yeah, and like some of their latest videos, like how a nuclear war will start minute by minute. The one before that, what happens if you destroy a black hole. And yeah, there these like very like high concept like science videos that teach you a lot. I would consider them more like teaching videos, but they also kind of use story as examples throughout. Like imagine like we're in the universe and like there's a black hole or something. I remember the one that really stood out to me was they were talking about time, like the time of a lifetime and what that actually equates to. And they were talking about the one like figure like that really stood out to me that told a story like impacted me was it was some I forget exactly what the video was, but it was some statistic that like if you live to be like 100 years old or something like that, just for like even numbers sake or math sake, it was either 80 or 100. Like by the time you turn 18, say you move out of your house by the time you're 18 and you like move away from home, you'll probably only see your parents on like holidays, maybe the occasional vacation or birthday or something like that. And it's like very crazy, but if you do the math compared to the first 18 years of your life where you spent every day with your parents, you will have spent like I think 85% of your time with your parents already than in the last like 60, 70 years of your life.
Dang.
Because you see them so rarely. And I remember Markiplier also brought this point up, but like because his dad passed away like when he turned like 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it honestly gave him so much relief because he realized that like although it sucks that like his dad is gone, he would have loved more time with him. He got to spend like 85% of the time that he probably would have spent with him anyways on this earth with him, and that was really reassuring to hear. So that's just one thing that channel memories story brings up for me.
Yeah.
So hug your parents, everyone. Moral of this story.
Yeah, man. But no, like, are there any other examples of like it doesn't need to be education, but like any other types that use storytelling as a way to do or support their main thing, right? Because their main thing was education in theirs, but they use storytelling as like a tool.
Yeah. This isn't really exactly. Well, I mean, kind of. Are you familiar with the team Yes Theory?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think I've watched their stuff.
They are these guys that they started to get like their channel a while ago, and I think their whole idea is basically it's not that they say yes to everything. A lot of people get that confused, but it's basically saying yes to safe situations that will like push you out of your comfort zone. And so they go on all these crazy adventures. They started out like they did like blind dates across like the world, like taking my blind date skydiving or something like that, or like taking a stranger skydiving, like just going around seeing who will say yes to that crazy request, and then they end up having like a really wholesome day. And like the moral of their videos basically like say yes to things that get you out of your comfort zone. And also, but I think they've kind of transitioned in a lot of their stories they tell now is to just celebrate like humanity and like what makes humans special, and like kind of the good in the world. So that's kind of a wholesome channel I would recommend for that. And they tell really good stories. One that's less so storytelling, but also just like I think a different unique channel is called Jetlag the Game. It's like a pretty newer channel. It's by the same guy that is this is another the guy that runs that, he's also the head of Wendover Productions, which is another educational channel that I think you would actually really like if you like the Cursish God or whatever. But Wendover Productions, then I'll get back to Jetlag. Wendover Productions. What?
Okay, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure that translation just means in a nutshell. So from now on, I'm just gonna call it in a nutshell.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Wait, let me Google translate this. Did you just do
it means
that?
in a nutshell, or long story short.
In short. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just going to call it in a nutshell. That's what I'm American. I'm uncultured.
So their name is in a nutshell, basically.
Well, no, I'm assuming they say that just for
so us stupid Americans will understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But Wendover Productions like is really an educational channel. Just about like really like unique and interesting things about like social works to here, let me just read the description. Wendover Productions is all about explaining how our world works, from travel to economics to geography to marketing and more. Every video will leave you with a little better understanding of our world. New videos go out every other Tuesday. So it's just kind of about understanding the world, and in different ways. Like the one I just watched was How to Build a Road, and that's kind of like the story. He's teaching about how to build a road, but he again uses a story in that one. He tells the story of how the road that crosses the United States, basically, it's a story of how that was completed, because basically the issue was in Colorado, it's the basically the highest point of the United States, and so there's like this almost unpassable region of mountains that you can't really go over without spending thousands of dollars. You can't really go around without being like ridiculously dangerous. So they had to like drill, I think, through the mountain, and I think it was like a mile or like maybe a couple miles, and that like couple of miles.
Oh,
is
is
like
that the one where they're talking about
most expensive? Yeah.
where they came from both ends?
Yeah, they came from both. I think that was it. But like they talk about just the logistics behind that and the story of how that was completed in a really interesting way that also teaches how people build a road.
Yeah. Imagine if they didn't line up tip to tip. That would have been.
Oh my gosh. That'd suck. That's another example of that. But he also created a new channel that's more of like, I think his fun passion project called Jetlag the Game. Jetlag the Game is basically they go all around the world and just do fun games, but the board is like the world. So like they did Connect 4 with states one time. That was like the first one I was introduced to. So basically they like they have to go to like the state capital or something like that and like pull a challenge card and then like do something about the state, like find the state bird or like find the state flower or something like that. And then once they complete that, they claim the state. So it's them like traveling all over, seeing like the country, and then they're like claiming these states that have to like line up for up or down or something like that.
Dang.
It's a pretty interesting concept. That was like one season they did, and like each season they do like different ideas. Like the one they did was like capture the flag across Europe or something like, or across Japan. Then they did like tag across Europe. Like I don't know. I don't know how much storytelling that it is. Kind of storytelling. It's the story of like who's gonna win this like game scenario. But it's just really interesting concepts.
You know what that weirdly reminded me of?
Huh?
There's this one YouTuber that I saw. I forget the channel, I forget the name and everything, but I remember the concept. And it was like the whole channel was based off of them, technically illegally. Not technically, like it was very much illegally. They're in Europe, and what they would do is they just literally train hop to go to different places around Europe.
Oh.
But they were literally like hiding in like little bays of coal and like in the storage of like other things.
The story of a criminal.
But no, but like no, it was intriguing because you're like seeing like one, like why would the person do it this way, and then two, like where are they trying to get to, and like what is always like, hey, like where are they going to get off, or like why are they doing this, and like they had different videos like, hey, I'm trying to get to here without like spending any money, or like I'm getting here to here.
And that has that challenge in there. That's basically a story you want to see. Like I think every challenge YouTube video is like they're presenting some stakes, and you're like, the story you want to watch them is how they accomplish this or try to accomplish this, and at the end, do they even accomplish it?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. That's a pretty cool idea. Besides the illegal part, I think we've been talking about YouTube for a while. We've given some interesting variety. I just kind of want to highlight what I mentioned at the beginning, and put it like, just stated again. Like I think the difference in my mind between YouTube and Hollywood, the big thing is the barrier to entry is so low on YouTube. Like anyone can upload a YouTube video, that there's just so much more quantity. There's not like much quality control. And I think it's interesting because like the higher quality stuff, hopefully the idea is that the algorithm picks it up because more people are watching it. And that's what makes people stand out, is when you have higher quality content. And I think we're just getting to a point where it's risky because people see, okay, Mr. Beast does really well with numbers because he's really good at retention and like telling a concise story very quickly. With setup payoff like almost every few seconds. And people copying that, it's kind of putting a saturation on that side of the market. So I still think there is room for storytelling on YouTube. It's just about creatively doing it in a way that still is engaging to audiences.
That's still unique and has like its own flair.
Yeah. Any last minute things you want to talk about with YouTube?
Oh, I guess we could talk about this too, because now that YouTube's kind of expanding with shorts and stuff like that, how do you think it's going to change storytelling? I personally think it's not going to really do much, because it's, like I don't go to YouTube for shorts, although I know some people do.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think there still are. I really like that question, because I think there are still ways to tell stories just in a more concise way. Like I actually saw that Ryan Trahan video he did with like going to the 1-star Yelp review restaurants. He actually a few months before he posted that video, he posted a short just doing one restaurant, like really quick. Like he like set up his stakes immediately. Like I'm going to this restaurant that only has 1 star, and I have to give it a 5-star review. My only caveat is that I cannot lie. And then it's this really quick montage of him like going to the store, his experience with it, and I think it did extremely well. And I think that might be the reason why he went forward with the full video idea. So it might be like a testing grounds for longer stories to see if there's an audience even for the shorter story. Maybe that's a way YouTubers could use it, and like how that could it could be like a gateway to storytelling, like kind of like a test feature.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that does make good sense.
Yeah. But I think like with anything like TikTok, they're just trying to compete with TikTok because short form content is because of YouTube and like the retention thing, our retention spans are really low. So what's one way to combat that? Make shorter videos, basically. I know some of our friends, like I know Tyler has only uses YouTube Shorts, so I feel like there is like an audience for it, especially because I think it's interesting that it's already on YouTube, an app you're using. So why use, if YouTube Shorts are very good, like why would you switch to TikTok if you're happy with YouTube Shorts? Kind of thing. But I don't know. I think it's just gonna bring our retention even lower than it already is. Our attention spans. Which is a little worrying, but
there's days that I contemplate just going out and building a cabin in the woods.
Yeah, we've talked about just getting a small mini house on wheels and just traveling the country. We could tell stories that way. We could tell YouTube videos and stories through that method. All right. Any other last minute things you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I think that pretty much covers it, man. I mean, YouTube's it's funny how long it's been around, and I mean that kind of is a testament to like its capabilities and its flexibility for people. And it's just gonna keep on changing. So
yeah, well, I don't know where it's gonna be in like 5 years.
In 5 years, you're gonna be in the videos. You're gonna watch a thing. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a 3D camera, kind of like imagine that, like actually like having like a 3D kind of like environment, or whatever, based off of like the recording of the situation. And then, like, you can actually be in the story.
In the video. Oh, interesting.
That'd be weird.
The metaverse. All right. Ready for the Patron shoutouts?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Cue the Epic Stars music. Bush, Combination, Lori, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tier. Thanks for the shout out. Like the supporters over on Patreon. Link is down in the description. You get the audio episode early, special bonus, good perks, all that jazz, and more. Thank you seriously, sincerely to our Patreon supporters. We really appreciate you. Ready for cool comments?
Yeah, what we got this time?
So last week on our What Makes a Good Story in Virtual Reality Games episode, Josh McIntyre commented, I've only done VR a couple times and I was focused a lot on the mechanics and not story, which is kind of like the boat that I think I was saying I was in. And they said, I'm excited to see where the VR space is going. Loved the episode. So thank you, Josh. Really appreciate it,
Josh. Yeah.
All right. Ready for the introduction?
Yeah, tell me when.
When?
We just talk about what we want to talk about, and now we're done.
Thank you seriously, sincerely to everyone. We really appreciate you guys checking in and listening. We'll be back next time. See you then.
See you later.
We'll talk about theater soon.